Now that we've created a notebook called Event, I want to look at some of the view settings. So what we have here in our ribbon is a tab called View. And if I click it, there's a whole lot of buttons in here that I now want to have a look at. First of all, starting on the left-hand side, we're in a view called Normal View. And I have to say 95% of the time that's where we're going to be doing our work, is in Normal View. But there is a second button here called Full Page View, and notice the shortcut key is the function key F11. The Full Page View, if you were to click that, just as it states here, will basically declutter the screen. So I'm going to give it a click. This declutters the screen, and I'm still in OneNote, and I'm still able to give the page a title and type notes, but I've not got all the clutter that you get when you have the note pane, when you have the pages list, when you have the ribbon, the title bar, and all that sort of stuff. So that's your full page view. Now if you want to get out of here, the whole idea is this button over here. On the right hand side is a little two-headed arrow, and when I rest on it, it says Normal View, and if I click it, I can go back to normal. So we've got Normal View, Full Page View. Then we've got Dock to Desktop. Now what Dock to Desktop does, and notice again the shortcut key combination is Control-Alt-D, it was actually declutter OneNote and sort of put it on the right hand side as a little sort of like note pane that you can be viewing something on the left hand side which dominates 3/4 of the screen, but still be writing notes in OneNote on the right hand side of your screen. So if I was to click this, it sort of puts OneNote over here so I can be taking notes while I'm still viewing other information over here. And again, if I want to go back to normal, just hit this little two-headed arrow here. So 3 ways that you can view your OneNote notebook. Now when it comes to a page, and we have one page here, it's called Untitled page, you may decide to apply color to the page, and this is one of the buttons in the page setup group. I can, for example, hit the drop down here and choose sort of like an apple or a green, and so now my page has a bit of color. I can just as simply say no color and go back to having a white page. So you have the option of page color. Now some people would also like to have ruled lines or mass paper. If you click this button, you can have some very narrow ruled lines, or if I click it again, I can have wide ruled lines. Or if I click it again, I could actually go for mass paper, which is a small grid. So those are some options as well available under the ruled lines. You can even change the color of the ruled lines from a light blue to one of these other listed colors, and you can also tell it to always create pages with ruled lines. So if it's that type of notebook, you may want to have ruled lines, but I'm going to choose none. Now whenever you create a page, it has what's called a page title, and that's what we're seeing here, and it's basically waiting for us to type and give this page a title. It also records the date and the time that this page was created. But sometimes I want to hide the page title, and that's what this button does here. If I click this option, the page title disappears, and if I click it again, it reappears. Now paper size may be important. By default, my paper size is my default printer paper size, which is A4 portrait. But you can change the paper size should you need to by choosing the paper size button and interacting with the paper size task pane on the right hand side. So instead of having the auto or the default, which is A4 portrait for me, I could actually change it to A5 or A3, and I could even change my margins here if I wanted to. And I could even save it as a template so that I could use it in future. If I want to close the paper size task pane, I'll just hit the X. Zoom out and zoom in is very useful if you need to make things bigger or smaller. And that's what these 2 buttons do. Now notice as I'm doing this that the percentage of magnification is changing here in the zoom drop down. So you can also change your magnification by selecting an option in here. I could also change it to page width or 100% actual size. So being able to zoom is with the use of these buttons here. Sometimes I find it's handy to have these buttons added to my quick access toolbar. So I may actually right click the 100% and add that button to my quick access toolbar, and here it is here. So whenever I need to see 100%, I just click that button. If I right-click page width and add that to my quick access toolbar, I can quickly switch now between page width and 100%. If you didn't want one or either of those buttons, you would simply right-click and remove those buttons from the quick access toolbar, but I might actually leave them there. Now, something else I need to mention is when I rest on the zoom out button, it does mention that you can hold the control key and use the mouse wheel on your mouse. So if I hold the control key and use the mouse wheel, I can zoom in and zoom out. I'm simply zooming in and zooming out by holding the control key and moving the wheel to the left or the right. I may have to scroll to get back up to my screen, and if I completely get a little bit lost, I'll just go for my 100% or my page width until I can see everything clearly on my screen again. Besides zooming, you've also got some other buttons here. I might leave these for a little later.